Is there a story that has changed you personally?
I've done so many stories and interviewed so many people, just getting to know people like Arthur Ashe, who, if you don't know, was one of the greatest tennis players that lived, but also one of the greatest human beings.
Wow.
And an ambassador. There's a lot of talk today about whether athletes should boycott the SEC and ACC. If Arthur Ashe was here, he would give such an intellectual response to that. It's like, of course, but here's why. I mean, this is a man who was arrested in South Africa protesting apartheid.
Wow.
Right? And so when you think about that and having been able to sit with somebody like that and hear his perspectives, that of course you do everything you can to try to impact change.
Right.
Even at some risk. Think of all the people who risked just walking out of their homes every morning so you could do this.
Right. That's
today.
right.
So people like that. I did write a story. So many of you may know that Arthur Ashe died from AIDS that was contracted through a blood transfusion. And those of us who knew him and were around him knew something was wrong, but Arthur wasn't public about what was wrong with him. And this was the early days of AIDS and HIV. And people just weren't really talking. This was before Magic came out and talked about it.
Oh, wow.
And so somebody in our circle who was another reporter was forced by his employer, USA Today, to straight up ask Arthur if he had AIDS. And that's what precipitated the press conference where Arthur got ahead of it and told people what he had. And he died not long thereafter. But I wrote a story about why I didn't ask him. And it didn't change me, but it made me, because as a journalist, you're supposed to do that. That's my job, to ask the tough questions.
Right.
But I'm a human being first. And I had to walk through my thought process, even with my boss, because it was I was at Sports Illustrated at the time, and shared with him why I never asked. And he understood. And what I said essentially was, Arthur was not the CEO of a corporation. He was not an elected official. He was not in one of those positions where his existence really mattered to a lot of people, public people. If he was a CEO of a publicly traded company, you need to know whether your CEO is ill or not. If he was a mayor or et cetera, you need to know whether that person's health.
Right.
In business, they call it key man insurance.
Yes, exactly right.
He was a retired athlete, ambassador for a sport. It's none of my damn business. Right?
Yeah.
And my boss said, sure. But USA Today pushed our friend to ask. And so it didn't change me, but it helped me to coalesce around something that would become huge, of course, a few years later when Irvin announced he was HIV positive.
Right. That's a really good perspective, because even when we think about some of the inherited responsibilities athletes have just by being a great athlete, they are sometimes commingled, right, with the same type of responsibilities, just as you mentioned, as a Fortune 500 CEO, just to be able to get insights and perspectives in the same way in which you would, because you would assume that the responsibilities are parallel, right? But it's just like, no, we watch this for entertainment. That's actually a little bit more tied to execution. So having a contingency plan, making sure folks are notified, like there's a little bit more tied to that. And so being able to navigate that, right, with the empathy, but also the intellectual reasoning is extremely important.